Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me on this channel, Adults ESL Online Learning. I'm Dr. Hernandez Smith, and this video is about the Gilded Age, Episode 1. In Episode 1, it was set in 1882. The Russells' house was finally completed. It took 3 years. The two sisters, Agnes Van Ryan and Miss Ada Brooke, lived across the street and watched it built. Agnes was opposed of the new neighbors, and she and her sister learned their brother died, and his daughter, Marion Brooke, was on her way to live with them. He left his daughter and sisters with nothing. Marion was escorted by her attorney, Mr. Rakes, to the train station where she was mugged. Peggy Scott, who was there, a young woman who was there waiting for the train, saw this, and she felt bad for Marion and paid for her train ticket to New York City. The weather turned dangerous and prevented Peggy to continue to travel, so Marion invited her to stay the night at her Aunt Agnes's house. Peggy held her own with Aunt Agnes and impressed her so much that she offered her a job as her secretary. A few of the individuals from the downstairs staff were upset about sharing space and working with a Black person, but the butler reminded them they have no opinion regarding Mrs. Van Ryan's decisions. Back from college, Larry Russell received his mother's approval to attend a weekend with friends. His friends were from the old New York families, and Mrs. Russell wanted her family to be part of that circle, and that's why she allowed Larry to attend, and not only allowed but encouraged him to make friends with those old New York families. Bertha Russell and Agnes Van Ryan both received invitations to a charity function, and Mrs. Russell, with her daughter Gladys, attended and met Aunt Ada and Marion for the first time. They're neighbors, so this was their first time to actually meet face to face. And Mrs. Russell invited Marion over to their new home because she could tell Marion and Gladys were hitting it off, and they're about the same age. But from the older crowd, or from the established ladies who were holding the charity, they snubbed Mrs. Russell. Mrs. Fain and Mrs. Morris snubbed Mrs. Russell, but Mrs. Russell showed no sign of emotion. This just made her more determined to be part of that society. Mr. Russell continued to buy out his opponents and gain more power and fortune, and Mrs. Russell decided to have a party to welcome her new neighbors into her home. Um, Even though she was snubbed by Mrs. Fain and Mrs. Morris, they did express interest and curiosity about this new home that Mrs. Russell had built. So she thought by having a party, she could pique their interest, have them come over, because she knew they were interested in learning about the house, and get to know each other. But it backfired, and no one attended. The only people who attended were Marion and Mrs. Fain, and Mrs. Fain had expressed that she really was only going to stay for a moment to say hello, and that really upset Bertha, and Bertha insisted that Mrs. Fane not waste her time and just leave. So Mrs. Fane left, and she left with Marion because Marion could only stay for a short time. Um, she had attended the party without the approval and without her Aunt Agnes knowing that she was going to attend the party. Um, the humiliation only made Bertha more determined to win them over, and it was very sad moment to see this character work so hard and be so proud of their accomplishments, to be snubbed and just ignored. So these are my questions after watching episode 1. Number 1, why was Marion so unappreciative of her Aunt Agnes's generosity and wisdom? Marion was mugged. She had no money. Her father left her with no money, and she has no education really, or no career. And this is a time when women really didn't have those options. So as soon as she gets to her aunt's house, she invites a friend, or someone who had to help her, and she openly talks back to her Aunt Agnes, um, and just very disrespectful, listening to her Aunt Agnes, who she's never met. um, she just almost ignores what her Aunt Agnes is trying to tell her. There's a scene where Marion her aunt are her aunts are sitting in the parlor, and Agnes is sharing this family history with Marion, and Marion just sits there, um, without any sort of reverence or appreciation of the strong women her aunt is describing, um, in her family. And and Agnes is trying to impress upon Marion that you come from a long line of strong women. You come from a family with rich history, and we're proud of you, and we are going to show you off, um, as one of our own. And Marion just sits there like, ugh, bored. And I guess it's her age, but I would think that even at this age, she would be very impressionable and just really appreciate what her aunt has is doing for her. Number 2, can Peggy and Marion be friends? Right now, they seem to get along, because of their age. However, Marion is she's pretty privileged. She's a privileged woman, and Peggy, um, we don't know her backstory, but all the way, but we do know that she is very educated. She has great discernment and has like goals, despite being a woman, despite being black. And it's just interesting to see the contrast between these two characters. Um, Number 3, why does Mrs. Turner resent Mrs. Russell so much? Miss Turner is Mrs. Russell's maid, or housemaid, or lady's maid, excuse me. Um, but she seems very Miss Turner seems on point. Miss Turner seems like a professional. She understands what it takes to be a lady's maid and also what it takes to be a lady. Um, and in that regard, she is awesome. But why does she resent Mrs. Russell so much? Uh, I, maybe it's there was a scene where she's just putting Mrs. Russell down so much after her party was a bomb, and then one of the house staff expressed, "Well, what do you think about Mr. Russell? Why are you if you're giving the wife such a hard time, what do you think about the husband?" And Miss Turner was silent. So she might have her eye on um, Mr. Russell, but that doesn't even if she's jealous of Mrs. Russell, I don't see why she's so mean or resentful towards this character. And it's only episode 1. Those are my questions, and I would love to learn what your opinions are and what questions you might have after watching episode 1 of The Gilded Age. If you liked this video, please hit the like button or the heart button. And if you want more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button or the follow button, and you'll be notified when new videos like this are uploaded. I hope you have a great day, and I appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.